The Australian Football League, or the AFL, announced today that they will be venturing into the world of non-fungible tokens, or NFTs for short. This is a massive day, and in this video, I will explain why that's the case. I'll start off with covering what exactly the news was today, and then I will put this announcement in perspective and put it in its place in terms of the broader trend that we're seeing with sporting organizations venturing into the world of NFTs. I will wrap things up by pointing you to some different resources that you can consume in your own time to hear directly from executives and representatives from different sporting organizations about how they are viewing NFTs and the applicability of them. And I will also share with you some resources that you can go to wrap your head around what NFTs are and how people are seeing them as potentially very valuable for all sorts of things with respect to sport, mostly for fan engagement and collectability. So starting off, we will get into today's news. April the 6th, 2022 will be remembered as the day that AFL announced that they will be getting involved with NFTs. So the CEO, Gillon McLoughlin, today unveiled plans to get involved in NFTs with this article saying here that they will be partnering with Animoca Brands, which is one of the leading blockchain gaming and NFT studios in the world. They are worth multiple billions of dollars and continue to see tremendous growth in recent years. So a very, very reputable entity or company there that the AFL is partnering with on this endeavor. Noteworthy here too that McLoughlin said that AFL players will be getting a 20% split of revenues from NFT projects under a deal that was agreed with the players union in recent days. And he did confirm that one of these NFTs that will be launching will be related to Lance Franklin. Not sure why this article here says he's a Geelong player, but he's actually plays for Sydney and recently made headlines all around the country, maybe even overseas, when he kicked his 1,000th goal, which was a very historic occasion. And McLoughlin confirming here that multiple NFTs will be based on that moment, including video and animation-based NFTs. So in this example here, with this announcement or deal with the Players Union, you could see Lance Franklin getting 20% of any revenues that were made from the sale and the ongoing sales of the moments that are tied to Lance Franklin's career, which I suppose from a post-career standpoint is a very potentially lucrative source of income or revenue for particularly the better players in the league. So some promising news there. Also at this conference, there was representation from from some other Australian sporting organisations such as Cricket Australia, the NRL and the NBL, who all provided their opinions and shared some news or upcoming news rather to do with NFTs. So Cricket Australia here, Nick Hockley saying that they are, quote, close to making an announcement, end quote, with a fantastic partner who's very well plugged into the global cricket marketplace. But focusing here on AFL, and yeah, just to share my 2 cents on this, I think, this is just more validation and I guess legitimization of NFTs really having a mainstream moment. In the case of AFL in particular, we've seen a lot of, in the past 12, 18 months, many crypto businesses or crypto exchanges sponsoring individual AFL clubs and some partnering with the AFL itself on different sorts of media events or other ventures. So this adoption into NFTs for the AFL represents just another, I guess, way that they are utilizing solutions that are built on top of blockchains and leveraging that to, I suppose, generate fan engagement as well as interest from people who like to collect these moments from their favorite players, be that past or present. And in terms of the AFL's approach to this, I do like, in particular, this 20% split of revenues. I think that's a very sensible thing, and is very fair for the players, so they're not, I guess, just getting exploited in a way in a situation where the AFL might be perhaps, making 100% revenue from these moments where it was in fact made possible by the players' ability and sporting prowess. So it would be unfair for them not to get a cut of the revenue. So I do like that was included in today's piece of news. If we do put this into perspective, I think for sporting NFTs in particular, this really got kickstarted, for those of you unaware, probably in late 2020, early 2021, with the explosion of NBA Top Shots, which, for those of you unaware, like the NBA would be selling, a video of, a Michael Jordan slam dunk, for example, or a famous moment in an NBA final or at the NBA playoffs. And people would purchase these NFTs so they could own them. And we saw millions and millions and millions of dollars in volume hitting these exchanges. So NBA Top Shot here, late February, a report by CNBC or article saying that people had spent more than $230 million on trading digital collectibles of NBA highlights. And I can envisage something similar with the AFL. Really, I suppose, letting members of the public be able to purchase events or highlights, rather, of their favorite AFL moments that have happened, historically or present day, such as Lance Franklin's 1,000th goal that was cited in today's news article. As I said at the top of this show, this is just more confirmation of this ongoing trend of NFTs being adopted by sporting organizations. So I'll run through some other examples for you who have not been following. We've seen football or soccer really take to this strongly over in Europe in particular. So the leading company there is Sorare, Sorare. And you've seen a lot of football organizations essentially partnering with them, and individual players partnering with them to launch NFTs so their fans can buy them and collect them. And then you've also seen different leagues around the world. In this case, La Liga in Spain. They have also been partnering with the likes of Sorare on these different collectibles, which are basically live on the blockchain, for lack of a better term. I'll get into the value props in a second, but I did just want to give you a run through of what's going on. You've seen in the US, the NCAA, which, for those of you keeping up to date with sporting news, you may have noticed that the college system, or NCAA, started enabling, or previously they had banned any amateur athletes or college athletes from being able to generate revenue based off their skills or likeness. And that kind of was cancelled due to just a lot of pressure coming from people who perhaps criticized the NCAA of profiting off of all these players' skills. However, these collegiate athletes were not getting any source of income. So this kind of came at the same time as NFTs exploding and taking off. So we've seen NFTU is one that has launched recently, which again is NFTs that are tied to collegiate sports. So this one here is NFTU.com, which is, I believe, based on a platform called Recur. So last year, another probably notable one from last year was Andy Murray's Wimbledon NFT, selling for $177,000 US, so over 200,000 Australian dollars. Andy Murray last year, he announced that a series of NFTs representing his Wimbledon victory would be up for sale on a platform called We Knew. So that was another highlight from the last 12, 18 months of sporting-based NFTs. Stephen Curry, one of the world's best NBA players, or basketballers, he launched a 2974 NFT collection to commemorate his 3-point record that he scored or achieved, I believe it was late last year. So again, players, rather everyday people like you and me, were able to, go onto FTX, I believe, which is a crypto exchange. They were able to, log on to there and purchase a Stephen Curry moment from his, from one of his 3-pointers, I believe. I could be getting that wrong. But again, another example of an individual athlete really leveraging their status in the game to, let their fans be able to, get closer to them and connect with them by purchasing, special moments in their career. Just quickly here, another example, cricket. So I think we've seen Rario, Rario.com. They're currently in beta testing, but that is one for buying, selling, and trading officially licensed cricket NFTs. So we can see here, I think this is a picture of Dave Warner, but again, just another marketplace to buy and sell NFTs tied to sporting athletes. NFL All Day is another very popular one. That's run by Dapper Labs, which is the same entity behind NBA Top Shot. And I believe Dapper Labs is also behind a NFT venture with the UFC as well. So they've been a really big driver of uptake of sporting NFTs. And as you can see here, there's this digital, card wrapper that you can unpack and get that excitement essentially that you would get if you went to the newsagents or whatever and purchased a packet of AFL cards or trading cards, for example. And you can build your collection and, visit the marketplace. This is what's possible at the moment, but I strongly believe that this will get more and more utility will come to these sorts of collectibles and sporting NFTs in the future. My favorite example, despite going through all of them, was definitely last year's, early this year, the Australian Open. So the tennis tournament here in Australia. They released a project or collection called the AO Art Ball, and this will be coming up in the resources I'll share with you soon. But you could essentially, it wasn't just purely collectible. It was kind of tied to the NFT that you purchased, had basically a position, a very, very small position on the tennis court, and if the match point of a given match, whether it was wheelchair tennis, women's singles or men's doubles or any of those formats, the match point of any of those given matches in the tournament, if that landed on your spot of the court, it was tied to your NFT and basically, more or less logged onto your NFT as something that has happened. And, that just gives the Australian Open, the organisers, so much, ability to, target's the wrong word, but to basically reward those NFT holders. And again, as an AO Art Ball holder, all of these holders are so much more engaged in the tournament. And, that was just one aspect of this project. I highly encourage you to watch this upcoming video that I'll be sharing with you about hearing from Ridley, who was on the Australian Open's team or Tennis Australia's team, and basically, had a big say or was in charge of this whole AO Art Ball project that was created more or less in 2 months, maybe 3 months, in collaboration with some other, blockchain-based companies. I did just want to highlight here this one, AO Art Ball 2653. This was, in fact, the ball that was tied to Ash Barty's, 2022 victory at the women's singles of the Australian Open. And, knowing what has happened to Ash Barty and the news that I'm still trying to get over, but I respect her decision as a fan of Ash Barty. To see now that this tennis ball essentially represents her very, very last shot in her, really established and in her career that will be remembered for many, many decades in the future. So we had this tweet here from Ridley, saying, yeah, how cool is it that you've essentially got a digital collectible that represents the final shot of Ash Barty's, illustrious career. That will be, I'm sure this will be held by this collector here, which is in fact an NFT fund. I dare say they will be holding onto this for many decades to come, because the value, I confidently believe the value will continue to accrue to this as, I guess, Ash Barty's legacy only builds, and to see her, impact on the Australian tennis world in particular, with all the juniors coming up. I can see this sort of relic being, very valuable in the future. Okay, I did want to just wrap things up on this, sporting NFT deep dive on just ways that I would encourage you to learn more about what's going on and what all the top sporting organizations are thinking of with respect to getting involved with NFTs. I would probably encourage you to go onto NFT Fest Australia's. So this was actually not the most recent resource with respect to hearing what these organizations are thinking, but I would encourage you to start here, because it will allow you to have more context when you watch the next video that I'm going to share with you. So this was NFT Fest Australia, was a very, very successful event last September. And on this panel in particular, Greg, who is the co-organizer of NFT Fest Australia, he sat down with Hannah Glass, a really involved and respected lawyer in the blockchain space in Australia, as well as two representatives, one from NBL and one from Melbourne Victory, an A-League team. And they talked through, I guess, the value proposition and applicability of sporting-based NFTs. So I will drop the link to this video in the show notes below. So there's Greg with some longer hair there, and then the next one I'll show is Greg with shorter hair. And this was more recently at Blockchain Week Australia 2022. So this was actually just 2 to 3 weeks ago. And this panel is again representative from NBL, Cricket Australia, and that is Ridley there from Tennis Australia. Apologies, I am blanking on the names of these two individuals, but again, I would encourage you to start with the September one last year if you do have the time, and then head on to this most recent one, because you'll see how the discussion and conversation has evolved. And, they go through the different reasons why a sporting club, an individual athlete, or an entire organization might issue NFTs. And the main utility, or the main reasons, there's probably three. There's the collectability, there's the collectability aspect, there's the fan engagement aspect with respect to probably more of a club-based one. And then there's also just general utility. So, there's so many opportunities, which I won't get into for the sake of this video. Otherwise, I'll be going for another hour. But, things that get me excited with respect to thinking of even sports stadiums issuing NFTs, and they can do some really neat things with, ticket history, and, perhaps rewarding the people who have visited Marvel Stadium, for the 100th time, for example. And you can basically prove that because you've got a cryptographically verified history of your attendance to Marvel Stadium. You could have an event, just another example, such as the 10 millionth visitor to Marvel Stadium. Obviously, it's probably too late to do that in a way that's verified. But you can imagine all the possibilities where sporting clubs, sporting organizations can generate a richer, deeper connection with the fans, who basically, are there through thick and thin, and are really there, the heartbeat of all these clubs, and are the reasons why these athletes go out to play. So I will link to these two presentations or two panel discussions in the show notes below. If you did just want to, you might not be familiar with NFTs at all, This might be your first time hearing about them. I would encourage you to have a peruse around the NFT Fest Australia YouTube channel for sure. And then just generally, I break it down here as a free resource on the Collective Shift website. Just what are NFTs, what the value proposition is, and I had a shot at really breaking it down in a virtual conference last October, I believe it was. So you can watch that there as well. And then just more generally, we do have these free live workshops as well, where, in January, for example, I sat down with the senior research analyst at Collective Shift, and we went through, I guess, NFTs as investments. So why are people investing in them? What do people look for when they're investing in them? And then in February, I did a solo Q&A kind of workshop on music NFTs in particular, and the use case applicability of them, and then also from the investment standpoint, why an investor or collector would even bother. What's the attraction of buying a music NFT? Nathan followed up the next week with going into on-chain NFTs, which was also a topic of conversation at the recent Blockchain Australia conference. The sporting NFT collection, sporting NFTs, I suppose, is really just a slither of the entire NFT ecosystem. It's super exciting, and I can just feel the momentum here in April 2022. There's just so much happening in every sector of the NFT market. It takes a lot of energy and effort to keep up to date with it, which I try my best to do, both for Collective Shift members as well as the public in terms of educational content. But it's what gets me out of bed every morning, because I absolutely see the opportunity here for not only sporting organizations, but all different aspects of society, whether it's musicians, artists, even collectors, entertainment, digital art, on-chain art. There's just so many things that get me excited and the Collective Shift team about NFTs. So to avoid rambling on, I will leave it there, and I hope you have enjoyed this dive into what is a historic day where the AFL has announced they are getting involved in NFTs, and it just continues the momentum of sports NFTs and their adoption. If you could like and subscribe to the channel, that would be very, very much appreciated as well. And thank you for tuning in.